It really does depend. But ultimately, most organizations aren't even necessarily getting that far. They're not even getting as far as like, well, who should we task with securing our SaaS platforms? It's more so, yeah, it's the vendor. I feel like as the past couple of years have gone by, where attackers are now focusing a hell of a lot more on SaaS platforms because of the very sensitive nature of the data being stored there, that it's been a bit of a wake-up call to the internal security orgs being like, oh, we should really have visibility into like what's going on in these platforms, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like one of the I wanted to ask you, one of the, risks that you're always kind of told about, right, is protecting yourself from proprietary, storage methods or like proprietary, storage formats of your data. Is that even a real thing in SaaS apps?
Not
I feel like it's not, because that would be such a huge like lawsuit for these SaaS companies. It's like, oh, I can't pull my data out and transfer it to somewhere else, like
I'm not going to point fingers at any particular vendor or anything, but I can speak to how easy they make it to kind of get off platform. It is interesting because you do have, people on LinkedIn, these thought leaders saying, oh, like everyone's now switching back to like on-prem because it's cheaper and like all of these things. So, I mean, I can't speak to how easy it is to get the data off, but as far as issues go, I haven't heard a ton around that. I don't think it's as big of a problem as it necessarily was back in the day.
yeah, the the thought leaders that are saying that companies are moving back to on-prem, I feel like they'll be back. Like whenever I hear that, it's like I feel like you're going to be right back. You guys forgot about the pain of having on-prem infrastructure, running your own data centers and everything. Like that's a huge pain. You have to have whole teams around that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, software development's changed so massively that it's like, I'm sure the up and coming generations will be like, well, how did Mark Zuckerberg build Facebook without Kubernetes and like
Right.
serverless functions and like Lambda and all this? But yeah, I think SaaS it's never going to go away, right? I've heard ramblings on LinkedIn about, well, with all of this new like AGI stuff coming in, like why do we really need SaaS platforms anymore? However, these SaaS platforms are actually building their own AI
Right.
in terms of you got like Agentforce or Salesforce, and they're moving with the times. And the unique thing about them doing that and what makes that so powerful and what will keep customers on those platforms is that those agents have domain knowledge, right? And that's the key differentiator. Like Agentforce being on the platform has domain knowledge. Like it doesn't apply off platform for other AGI. So that's another thing to think about. I think we're in an interesting time where there's being just a massive shift in how organizations are looking at SaaS and their usage of SaaS, especially incorporating, as I said, like AI into that. But when it comes to overall security, I think it could be forgotten about a little bit. Everyone's focusing on like, do more with AI, we'll do more. And it's like, well, you still got to have a platform to protect, right? And ultimately, all you're doing is, yeah, you're getting a whole host of benefits by utilizing AI, but at the same time, you're also introducing another attack vector. So if again, you are not putting security at the forefront of your mind when building these agents and granting access controls to these agents on your SaaS platforms, you're just it's going to be a bad time for sure.
Yeah, so why don't we kind of circle back to what agentic AI agents are? I feel like that's such a new term that a lot of people may not even realize what it is, and we're already interacting with it.
Yeah, well, are you talking about like in respect to SaaS or
Yeah, just talking about, like Salesforce's solution that you just mentioned, right? Like, what's the purpose of it? Like, if I go to Expedia and book a trip, right? I go into their platform. Am I now going through this AI agent that is booking the trip most efficiently for whatever parameters I give it? Or just what does that look like?
so generally speaking, like the biggest difference, if I can sum it up, like the most important difference is previously we were more familiar with generative AI, which is like you give it a single prompt and it'll just give you like a single response, right? With agentic AI, you can give it a high level prompt, right? Like a minimal high level prompt, and it will little to no human interaction start performing all of these tasks. So it effectively is going to break down what you're asking for into like subtasks, right? So if you've got, for example, like a high level task, like, hey, I need you to within an organization, I need you to kind of balance like the inventory of my stock or whatever else. it'll look at that and it will then be like, okay, here's what I need to do. I need to break it down into all of these steps in order to fulfill this kind of, I guess, task execution. So it's effectively running with like zero